Hello, welcome back to Greatest Love Ministries. This is Pastor James Hargrave. Today I wanted to give an overview of the biblical references that teach that we are in the very end times. We are in the last 7 years, and the passages that make it clear that we are. We're going to start with Daniel chapter 12. And we're going to go down first to the bottom of the chapter, and this is at the end. We know that because beginning of the chapter it says, "At that time Michael, the great prince who protects your people, will arise." He talks about the resurrection of the dead. So this is at the end he's talking about. And scroll down here. From the time that the daily sacrifice is abolished and the abomination that causes desolation is set up, there will be 1290 days. This is a reference to the Dome of the Rock. When it says days, many times in the Hebrew, it's speaking about a year. That's the day-to-year principle in the Bible. The daily sacrifice, when the temple was sacrilege by the Babylonians, it was desecrated. That ended their ability because it was defiled. They could no longer do sacrifices in the temple because of that. And so that's what brought the sacrifices to an end. And that was around 607 BC. We know that. It's also from reference in Daniel chapter 2 or Daniel 1, I think. Let's look that up so we're not going by guesswork here. Because, let's see. Yeah. Oops. Put Daniel 11 on that one. In the 3rd year of the reign of Jehoiakim, king of Judah, Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, came to Jerusalem and besieged it. And the Lord delivered Jehoiakim, king of Judah, into his hand, along with some of the articles from the temple of God. So it was desecrated. And this was in the 3rd year. The Battle of Megiddo, or the first Armageddon, so to speak, was 609 BC. So this was in the 3rd year. So this was 607, the beginning of 607 BC, that the temple was defiled and the sacrifice brought to an end. So from that point, you go out 1290 years and you get 684 BC. Now you get 684 AD, and that's when the Dome of the Rock was built, which is an abomination because it's on the Temple Mount. It's idolatrous. You know, the Islam is an idolatry as God looks at it. It's idolatry. And then blessed is the one who waits for and reaches the end of the 1335. So then we go out another 1335 days, and that brings us up to 2018. Now what's significant about 2018, just looking at that, and then we know from that, if you go back up Daniel chapter 12 here, there is a mention of time, times, and half a time. So then we have this 3.5 year period in here. And then what's also interesting about 2018, Daniel chapter 9, you have where it's talking about the 77s. 77s are decreed for your people and your holy city to finish the transgression and put an end to sin, to atone for wickedness. Know and understand this from the time the word goes out to restore and rebuild Jerusalem. Now this happened with King Cyrus in 539 BC, and it happened also again in modern times in 1948. And then it says 70 years, 62 years or weeks. The Festival of Weeks happened once a year. And then 7 weeks. So the only way this makes sense that all those numbers to be used in a prophecy, see, if you use that just to explain King Cyrus' decree for the first coming of Christ, it doesn't use all that information. Only if you apply it to the end times does it use all that information. It's a 77-week prophecy. But the 70 weeks is up in 2018. 1948 to 2018 is 70 weeks or 70 years. It also points to 2018. So for 2018, going back to Daniel 12, we're in this 3.5 year period thing where it's actually a doubling of that. It's a 7-year period, because we know that from Daniel 9. We also know that from other parts of Scripture that it's a 7-year period. We know that from let's go to Daniel 9. The people of the ruler who will come will destroy the city and the sanctuary, the set-apart place. Then will come like a flood. War will continue until the end, and desolations have been decreed. He will confirm a covenant with many for 1 7. So there you have the 7 again. And in the middle of the 7, that's 3.5 years. There's the sanctuary, the set-apart place, the putting to end the sacrifice, the end of sacrifice and offering. It's talking about the financial system. In modern terms, in today's world, it's talking about our financial system, and this is what is being brought to an end, which still has lip service to being constitutional money or God money, gold and silver. It's still supposedly backed by some of that, but it's not. They're doing away with that system so they can bring in the mark of the beast system for total control. The city and the sanctuary is Washington, D.C. The sanctuary just means set apart place, which a capital would be. Destroy the city and the sanctuary. In the middle of the 7, he'll put an end in sacrifice and offering. And then this at the temple can be translated on the edge or on the extremity. He will set up an abomination that causes desolation. So this could be after the 7 years, in the middle of the last 7. So both of these are pointing to the beginning of the last 7 years as 2018. And the other parts of Scripture take that into account. You also have Daniel chapter 8. It'll take 2,300 evenings and mornings, and the sanctuary will be reconsecrated. How long will it be for the vision to be fulfilled concerning the daily sacrifice, the rebellion that causes desolation, the surrender of the sanctuary, and the trampling underfoot of the Lord's people? 2,300 evenings and mornings. That's 2,300 days, or 2,300 years. And this is from, and if you look at Daniel 8 here, it's talking about the palace of Susa. That was built around 513 BC. Here's a reference to that. The palace of Susa. The palace of Susa, built by Darius and his son Xerxes, beginning of his reign in 521 BC. Work was not complete until his death in 486. So it's right in that period. And you go out 2,300 years, you get 1788. You get the founding of this country, when the Constitution, our Constitution, was ratified, 1788. That's 2,300 years. And this works together with Revelation. Daniel and Revelation work together because it's 1,260 years also in Revelation, but you double that to get 2,520 years. So that 2,520 years, and then 2,300 minus that is 220. It's actually 220 and a half years to get 2,520 years. So what's interesting, from 1788, if you extend this out time times and half a time like a ratio, you get another 220 years, which brings you up to 2009, when you have Barack Obama, hitting the scene, which Daniel 9 talks about, the Messiah, the anointed one, the false Messiah. Says he will come on the scene in 2009, 2010, and he steps down in 2017, temporarily. So that's where 2,300 fits in. It points to the founding of this country up to the point Obama hits the scene, nationally and internationally. Daniel chapter 11, the kings of the north and the south. See, it's talking about kings, plural. So it's talking about the presidents of the United States were the kings of the north. So when it says back in Daniel 12 that he is given, people are given into his hands for times and half a time, 3.5 years, it's talking about giving into the hands of the kings of the north. I don't think we're going to be that long under Obama. I think we'll be under Obama probably no more than 15 months, 13 months, something like that. Because under the kings of the north, or this Antichrist system, we've been under that with Obama for a while. With Joe Biden for a while. And it's just going to be an extension. It's going to be worse under Obama. He's the beast that was, is not, and yet will be. So this is just some of what the Bible is saying about the times we live in. And it's protecting it here. And this is Daniel chapter 1 now. 12. And to the Revelation chapter 12. And to the woman were given 2 wings of a great eagle, that she might fly into the wilderness, into her place. Great eagle, America, where she is nourished for a times and half a time from the face of the serpent. So this is, we were protected. We flee people coming into the United States from Europe were fleeing religious persecution and intolerance, came to America for freedom and other reasons. And that was for a time and half a time. It's a ratio of basically 1 to, and then 2, 1x, 2x, and then half an x, 3.5x. So that's 126 years, 63 years, and 31.5 years, which makes up 220.5 years and brings you up to 2009. So it's in the scripture that we're in this period, and we'll just have to see if it continues to be fulfilled. Thank you very much.